triple check. A DJ.
Yes.
Beautiful. Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, Desiree, and welcome to the Make Life Rich Movement podcast. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
My Richies, we're in for an absolute stationary and lifestyle treat today. Desiree Adege is an absolute phenom. I had to check the pronunciation a few times. I want to make sure we all hear this name and it stays put, because Desiree's approach to captivating where inspiration resides and the way in which we integrate it into our daily life in a way that just makes everything feel better is so beautiful. It's what drew me to you immediately last year when you'd first kind of put teasers out for your brand and your
Yeah.
products. And I've been waiting with bated breath to have this conversation. So I'm so excited. Um, your career path has been so crazy and beautiful. I just want to touch on a bit of that here so everyone understands the true creative phenom that we have in front of us. You're a former fashion world superstar, so you had contributions to ID Magazine and an editorial role at American Vogue. So, okay, guys, enough said. We can just like stop the interview here. We know what
Oh,
we're talking
thank
about.
you.
But you chose entrepreneurship and you began a lifestyle stationery brand. So
Yes.
tell us all about that moment where you're just like, I'm gonna do this.
Well, I mean, it was a long time coming. Like you said, I've been working in fashion for like almost 10 years in New York. And towards the end, I was just like, I want something that I can have for myself, that I can pour my energy into, kind of like breathe life into. And I've always loved stationery. I have so many planners, so many, pen and papers and just things, little, bits and bobs that I would always have throughout the years. And so I just decided to make my own stationery brand. I had no idea what I was doing in the beginning. It was definitely a learning curve. But no, it's been great. The feedback has been amazing, and I've been able to cultivate like a community of women who are like-minded, like yourself, who have just been so supportive on this journey.
You've literally created the planner of our dreams, and not only in the aesthetics. We'll put a ton of photos and everything up so everyone can see, and you're absolutely gonna check the show notes. You're gonna click the link and go purchase your very first quarterly planner. And then you're gonna leave in the show notes in the poll which color you chose because I
Mm,
need to know. But
important.
your brand, Apartment 128, first, I love the name. The minute you said it, I'm like, I already know. I already know what this is about. If you've ever lived on your own, maybe lived in a city, had your professional aspects coming together, things are feeling right. You've got the perfect balance of beautiful plants and the china
Hmm.
you like to eat your snacks off of. And maybe you have like a girlfriend's night once a week for like wine and cheese and The Bachelor. Like the essence of that beautiful, unmarked time in life,
Hmm.
you put into a brand that could make me cry right now because it
Oh,
is captured the essence
yeah.
of that time of life, which is so inspirational to be able to open every day and pull from when
Oh,
you
thank
don't feel
you.
that way.
Yeah, yeah. I really wanted to create something that, like I said, I poured my passion into, and Apartment 128 was special to me because my birthday is January 28th, and I spend so much time in my apartment, like at home. I'm a homebody, and I get a lot of my best ideas. I get inspired the most, when I'm in the comfort of my own home. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
It's so interesting when you ask someone that loves planners, like what was like your earliest memory of like your first little notebook? Or everyone
Ooh,
has that moment where they're like, oh, mine. Like I write in this.
yes.
This is mine.
Okay, so I actually journaled when I was a kid. Yeah, which is crazy.
Stop.
I remember very vividly. I got stung by a bee, and I went home and I wrote about it.
Oh my God.
So, like, I've always had a diary. I've always, had a journal. I've always kind of had a productivity planner because we used to have them for school in a way.
Hmm.
So it's always been a part of, my day to day.
Oh my God. You got me. A full circle moment here of always. enjoying that ability to strategically like plan out your joy, plan out your day, and now you've made it so that you can do it within your own journal. Like
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah.
The little kid in you is like, "Yay, we
Yes.
did it!"
Yes. This whole journey has been like just nurturing the inner child, all the things I loved to do as a kid. I'm kind of like going back to that now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a beautiful journey.
I love so much that you said that because I think definitely we'll say the last 4 years, although maybe they were two, maybe they were 1.5, who knows? It went by in such a
Mm.
fury that I think people realize like, oh, I'm tired of doing stuff that isn't fun. Like,
Yeah.
what used to make me happy? Because I
Hmm.
don't know anymore. And everyone going back to a place of just trying to find one thing or the earliest thing they can remember liking. A lot of my guests, I guess, were impacted in that way too, like you. And the thing that led them to find joy in play has now been the thing they've turned into a company that is their passion and their purpose kind of coalescing at this beautiful moment that seems very serendipitous. And I am gathering from what you're saying that that might have been kind of the place you found yourself in too.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Like the pandemic, I think kind of just rocked everyone's life. And I think everyone had a lot of time to sit down and reflect. And I think that's when I realized that maybe fashion wasn't long term, like end goal for me. And I wanted to, have my own business. I think it's important, especially now in this day and age, to make sure that you have something that no one can take from you. Um, and so this business was born out of that, and just passion and so many things. And like we were talking about earlier, during the pandemic I realized that I loved books at an early age, so I pivoted into that industry as well. So yeah, it's just been the last 4 years have just been like completely like transformative, complete 180. It's just,
Yeah.
yeah, it's been crazy.
So going from the environment of working somewhere extremely structured, extremely fast paced, being in a city that, before we jumped on, we said was like a cortisol crush
Hmm.
every day, just go, 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 go. What were some of the things that you kept from that pace that you brought with you that maybe you integrated into the planner or maybe you integrate into your daily routine to kind of balance out this slower paced life that you
Mm.
really were searching for, but trying to keep a little bit of that city
Yeah.
productivity kind of tethered?
So what I do, well, what I like to do weekly is work at a cafe. So it kind of gives me like that city feel, and every week I'll go to a different one and just try to find a nice ambiance. I also started taking like art classes and ceramic classes, and just doing little hobbies that I love doing in New York, but I didn't necessarily have the time to. So I think it's been more so about like pouring into myself, more so than my life being revolved around who I work for or my identity being engulfed in who I work for. Um, just, yeah, pouring into myself. I think that's how I've kind of, maintained that level of, city life.
Yeah. And it's so interesting you say that. I do the exact same thing. My Richies, we both recently in the last 2 years have left large cities for much smaller places. And there's a absolute shift that comes with that I don't think many people talk about. And
Mhm.
I'm childless. I'm
Same.
married, but I've got a lot of free time, and you don't realize how hard it can be to fill free time. I live in the country, so like near the beach. There's not much to do here
You
in
have to
the
be,
winter.
yeah, very intentional about it.
Yes, and then you find those moments where you are literally crawling up the wall and you just want to talk to a human. Maybe,
Yeah.
oh, what are you reading? Like,
Hmm.
you got the flat white latte, delicious. I might get one. Like, you just miss like the hub and bub of like being around thousands of people at one time. And I do
Yeah.
the same coffee shop escape once a week, so I love that you do that too. I always feel like just trying to inject myself with a little bit of a different scene to
Yeah.
I
Kind of
appreciate
mix
what I
things
have,
up.
but yeah, yeah. And it's so, I think one of the things too that always drew me to your account every time I saw a post, if you were at a coffee shop and I was not at one, I still was like, okay, I can set the tone for my day right now. Let me go get my beverage. Let me go get my favorite like notebook right now. Like put on a little candle. Let me set the scape of my desk so it feels
Hmm.
pleasing. And your planners absolutely help for that to happen a
Oh,
whole lot
thank you.
easier.
Yay.
I think the stunning way in which, and it's very apparent, I can see with your personal style, your the aesthetic of the website, it's classic, timeless, very clean but still approachable in a way that you want to pick it up, you want to use it, you want to like break it in a little bit. And I love the colorscapes. I think the colorscapes are so soft and still inviting to where you're like, it's still bringing brightness, but not overpowering anything around it. Like, please break down for us what went into the physical aesthetics of what you knew you were envisioning for your quarterly planners.
So I knew I wanted something that had color. I feel like a huge trend for stationery for a lot of brands is to be kind of neutral, have a neutral color palette, and I wanted to do something a little different. Um, because I love having, beautiful color. Even like my bed is like pastel and purples and all these things. So that was important to me. But I also wanted it to have an elevated feel. I didn't want it to look like a planner for like a teenager or just for someone like very young. I wanted to have an elevated feel for women, who were entrepreneurs, who were working women, corporate women, whatever. So yeah, so I have the three colorways. I plan on doing more colorways. And I also plan on incorporating commissioned art for covers. Like I have a whole, yeah, I'm really planning on growing like the stationery offerings this year. So yeah.
Ooh, that's so
Mm-hmm.
exciting. And I love now that you've gotten to a place where you can really, start to finagle around with
Mm-hmm.
how things are laid out for you. So, what, being as though you were in fashion before, you were in an editorial role, so you were used to managing all the little details and all the little things. What was the learning curve for switching over to figuring out from scratch, essentially, how to
Yeah.
create a physical planner that was printed?
Well, a lot of research went into it. I think for months it was just researching um, what type of planner I wanted. Do I want a yearly planner? What, material I want the planner to be, finding suppliers, and just doing a lot of research before I really jumped into it. It was definitely a learning curve. I had to learn a lot of design softwares. I had to learn about printing and CMYK versus RGB. Like it was very technical. Even just designing the covers, learning Affinity and Photoshop and all these things. But I am so appreciative for everything that I learned because I've been able to use these skills for so many other things. But yeah, it was definitely a learning curve. I think it took about maybe 4 months once I started actually working on the planner to finish the interior pages. But yeah, it was definitely a journey.
I love that so much. I think there's been a really beautiful uptick in the journal style being customized and very niched in a way that people are actually utilizing these things rather than buying them and they, sit on your desk until you're like, whoops, that year went by.
Yeah,
Or,
yeah, yeah.
the undated version is always appreciated. So I appreciate
Yes,
that very
I,
much.
I
But
I need the undated because some days I'm like, yes, let's do this, and some days I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna do my thing, and I don't write in it. So it gives you the opportunity to kind of, go at your own pace. I
yeah.
think that's important.
And I wonder, with the fast paced nature of the projects you had to work on, being able to kind of execute something quickly without thinking about it too much, do you think that that kind of aided you on this journey of just getting right down to it and creating the planner without there being too many moments of like, can I do this? I don't
Yeah,
know. Like, you
yeah,
got right
yeah.
down to it, it seems.
I think there was a lot of transferable skills from fashion. I think just working at such a high level and having high expectations and deadlines and not being able to take no for an answer, it allowed me to be very persistent. So whenever I had any hurdles, I just, very persistent, always finding solutions. It really helped. It was like set the foundation for me to
Right.
be able to do this. Yeah.
Ugh, I love it. And I feel like through my stalking of you in your earlier days, you- it's funny, but I call it stalking, but it's done with love and
Of
sheer
course, of
admiration in
course.
every regard. I tell everyone this. I'm like, okay, so I stalked you real good before we got on today. But I was so impressed with your turnaround time. You posted in May and you responded, we're going to launch by July 1st. And I was like, holy moly, that insane. But you did so in timing perfectly with the planner sales season. Can you break
Hmm.
down a little bit what the typical planner sales season is? We've got all the different months and sizes you could get, and then what led you to choose a quarterly version of your planner?
Well, for me, I like to break my year into 4 quarters, and I feel like that allows me to be the most productive instead of, getting a yearly planner, which yearly planner works for some people. But for me, when I can break my goals into smaller pieces, and when I have the space to kind of tailor my goals or change my goals if anything changes in my life.
Mhm.
I don't know. I just feel like it just works better for
Yeah.
me. And a lot of the women who I look up to as like mentors, they always talk about breaking down your year into quarters and viewing each quarter as a year. And that way you can get the most progression. And, I feel like when you look at your yearly goals, you're like, oh, I have 10 more months to, achieve this goal. So it kind of gets pushed back and there's no like sense of, urgency.
Mhm.
So yeah, I just think quarterly for me is just the way to go. Yeah, that's like
Yeah,
my
I
holy
love
grail.
that.
Yeah.
And it also does really put on, I think for an entrepreneur, sometimes you can need a little help in the pressure department.
Mm-hmm.
There are days where you're pushing that pedal, and then there are days where you're asleep in the back seat, and you need to kind of really find a way to maintain that momentum.
Yeah.
And discipline is beautiful, but I like to use the little trick of a stunning and aesthetic little book that sits on my desk that I have to walk by in the morning before I
Mm-hmm.
go get my coffee or let my dog out. I see you.
Yeah.
And you're on top of mine now, and I can't wait to crack you open and just see what I had planned for the day. I like to plan the night before to set myself up just with a
Yep.
little bit of something.
Yeah, because I feel like when I write down the night before what I'm going to do, I do it because
Hmm.
it's already written on paper. So it's like
Hmm.
it goes as planned. So
Hmm.
yeah, that's a good tip.
So I would love for you to kind of just break down how your pages are set up, and I would love for you to talk about the smart approach that you have
Oh
for.
yes.
I just love it so much. It explains everything perfectly of how to properly not only get through your day and be productive, but how to use the planner.
Yeah. So my interior pages start with a welcome. It kind of tells you kind of the framework of the planner, a roadmap of the planner, and then we go into our quarterly overview. So really just setting you up for what you want out of this quarter, writing down like any affirmations or creating a vision board to kind of propel you forward throughout the quarter. And just really looking at like your areas of life and seeing where you can, use a bit more TLC and where, you're fulfilled and seeing if you can pour more into those areas, throughout the quarter. And then it goes into three goals for the quarter using the SMART method. So just making sure the goals are specific, measurable, you have the resources, it's timely, and you just have everything you need in order to, achieve said goal. So everything is written out, your step by step, your why, a bullet page for you to really detail how you're going to get to this goal, and you have three of them, so it's not overwhelming. I feel like three is the perfect amount. And then you have your monthly layout, 6 weeks. I hate when I have the monthly planner and then I have to spill over to another month, so I made sure there was enough space to have your full month overview on the pages. And then every week you have a weekly overview. just detailing what you need to do for the week. It has a habit tracker, a shopping list, a place for you to figure out what you're going to do from each goal to propel you forward, daily overviews, and yeah, weekly overviews so you can reflect. So yeah, there's there's a lot. And then the end of the quarter, we have a quarterly overview so you can figure out how the quarter went, what you need to work on, what you learned, what you're grateful for, and yeah, just what you plan to do next quarter.
I love it. I think it's so interesting too, the ability to kind of, I think the quote is something like people overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what they can do in three. And I think the same applies to a quarter. And I think, as you said, a lot of people are like, oh my God, it's October. What did I do all year?
Yeah.
Nothing. The 3 month focus, I think, is really beautiful in a way too, because if you are an entrepreneur, you're moving at such a fast pace because you're likely a team of one. And the ability to not only be able to map out your progress, your projects, did you drink enough water today? Did you get some steps in? Have you made dinner yet? Is there even any food in the fridge? Like, you've created an entire place for your whole life to be kind of incorporated and put down. And that's kind of something I've always had. I'm very happy to carry two planners for my personal life and my work life, but I do love the ability to, as a strategist, have a place where I can create strategy for both.
Yeah.
I can have a separate house calendar if I need to, and if it's too crazy and you don't want to junk up your calendar, but I do really love that it seems that strategy is woven throughout this planner in a way that, not all calendars or desk calendars are really going to give you the ability to get that much out of it.
Yeah.
Was the strategy kind of a very specific focus for you, or when you were making it, were you just kind of thinking more along the lines of what you wanted in the planner?
Yeah, I think
I
I
love
was
that.
more so, well, looking at different planners and seeing what they had and seeing what I liked, what I didn't like in the planners that I owned, and kind of figuring out what would be like the most productive planner for me, and just hoping that other people would also feel the same.
Hmm.
But people have really been loving it. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's we've been doing really well.
There's definitely enough fish in the sea for there to be a million different planners. And I think there's something to be said about each one having their specific thing. But I love so much that your planner just feels like, how do I say this eloquently? Like my operating system in my head when it's being like nice and chill and everything's like, ooh, working great on paper.
Okay, yes, I
in
like
in a little
that.
book, It's not like a
I love that. I love
craziness,
that.
but your book is really just a beautiful way to your planner rather to just open to the page and set the mental tone for your workday, or
Yeah.
set the tone for this next 10 minutes of you figuring out what you need to do before this call. Or it's a very centering, it almost feels ritualistic in the way that you can kind of use it to anchor down work time, which I
Yeah.
really enjoy. And I think a lot of people, especially after everyone either getting switched to a home office or now you have to go back, or maybe you're an entrepreneur and you've always worked at home, it can be difficult to stay in a place of productivity day after day if you don't have a centering, like, anchor or ritual piece that's going to kick off your day and get you started.
Yeah. And
How
just a
do you,
reminder, yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I would love to know, how do you use the planner to kind of kick off your day?
So I always have to flip back to my goals because I will forget, or I'll go back to my weekly overview from previous weeks to make sure that I'm like checking off tasks and making sure that I'm getting everything, done. It's just really nice for me to be able to look back and see the fully written out, fully thought out goals that I created in the beginning of the quarter, and just to make sure that my day to day actions are aligning with, getting to those goals.
Hmm.
So just for me, the writing it down and being able to reference it has been so helpful for my day to day.
Yeah.
Because even days where I'm like, oh, I don't have anything to do today, and I'll look back and I'll be like, oh, well, actually, I do. So it's been really helpful in that sense, just making sure I'm on track and
Yeah.
focusing on the right things.
Yeah. Like a gentle assistant or accountability
Yeah.
partner of sorts. I love that.
Yes, accountability partner. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. We are always just, I think, trying to navigate so many things, and whether or not you're a person that can handle a high workload or not, or you don't really prefer to be in a high workload, it is, I think, really freeing in a way to be able to just look down at that list and be like, okay, I got this.
Mm-hmm.
Step it back. I think another really cool thing about your planner is that the lack of glitter, rhinestones, neons, like zigzag animal prints. I love animal print, but like when my brain is in ADHD fire off, I need to center in, zone down.
Yeah.
The It's so hard to describe, but your branding in general just oozes like reliable, consistent presence. Like it's just like a day in and day out thing that becomes a part of you. Was that kind of an extension of you? Is that your personality? Is that kind of how you navigate through life?
Yeah, well, for the branding, I just wanted something that, like, I think romanticizing your day to day, just finding beauty in the mundane things and just really, I don't know, just finding joy in like the small day to day moments, whether that's going to a coffee shop, just doing little things that you find
Mhm.
joy in. And I just wanted my planners to be like a nice little burst of, color and happiness and
Mhm.
whatever it may be
Mhm.
to my customers. So, yeah.
You definitely do get a really good sense of what went into it when you see it. It has extensive detail and care put on the spine, like the the structure of the planner itself is not your typical planner, guys. I'll just put that out there. There are some that go above and beyond, and there's some that don't. And Apartment 128 goes above and beyond. So, can you tell us a little bit about the structure of the
Yeah.
planner and where that fitted in for you in terms of choosing for it to look that way and be structured that way?
Yeah. So I definitely wanted hardcover. And also, I love a silk paper finish. So all of our planners have silk paper finish, which gives it like that velvety, like matte feel. And then I wanted like the ribbons to be colorful and kind of coordinate with the letters of the planners and the thickness of the covers and like the ivory paper, like all of it was very meticulously thought
Hmm.
out. But yeah, it all came together beautifully. There were so many samples before, finally choosing the one. But yeah,
What did it feel like to hold that first copy in your hand where you're like, all right, I'm getting somewhere. I really like this is happening. We're here. I'm holding like draft number one.
yeah, no, it was crazy. I remember like taking videos. I think this was like 2022. I had so many samples from so many different suppliers. I remember like taking videos each time I would open the box and just being like, even if it wasn't like the final sample, I was just like, wow, like I made this. Like that's crazy. Like I've never done anything like this before. So to have like a product that I made like in my room, people buying it and like using it all over, it's crazy to me, honestly.
It's I'm sure it was a wild feeling, and for it to also be so visually beautiful. Like were you like not bad for
No,
the
I was
first
like,
try?
wow, okay. And then I remember like going and doing, taking the photos for like the website and for socials, and just, it was just honestly so great.
Did you cry? Like how could you not? All these like when I see your just vignettes, I'm like, gosh, this is beautiful. Like if this were
Yeah.
my company, I'd weep all day. I'd be like, look at that
Oh.
tablescape. It's so beautiful. Look
Me
at it.
too. Yeah, I've definitely had like those like wow moments for sure. Like
Mhm.
I can't believe I actually, you know, have my own business now. So
So
it's
cool.
definitely a beautiful journey.
I love that. So you are for sale on your website. And are you in any other locations, coffee shops, boutiques, anything like that yet?
So I am on Amazon. I'm not in any in-store locations as of yet. We plan to, well, I plan to, I say we, but launch more like wholesale. So, eventually I do want to work with different, coffee shops, bookshops, gift stores across
Perfect.
the states to, have Apartment 128.
Oh, I love that. And it would literally be that I can see it being some really beautiful guerrilla marketing for you because women are going to be waiting in line for their cappuccino.
Yes.
I'm just going to be like, wait, what?
Like, I'll take that.
Can you hold my spot? I have to grab this. This is my little gift purchase of the day for
Hmm.
myself. Pick it
That's the
up.
goal. That's the goal.
No one look at me. No one look at me. I got myself a present. It's honestly a treat. It feels like a treat that you are giving to yourself that's good for you. It's like a
Yeah.
new workout fit or maybe a fitness watch of sorts, but for your brain and for your spirit kind of coming together and dumping on paper.
Yes. Love that.
When you were deciding exactly how you wanted to launch the brand, were there any kind of specifics or things that you wanted to have in place first before you're ready to start selling? Or did you have like a marketing um, kind of plan for how you're going to launch the planners?
I would love to say that I had a marketing strategy, but I did not. Okay.
You can't
This was
tell.
so new for me. I don't even think I knew what that even meant at that time.
Oh,
So, yeah, I just wanted to make sure that I had really beautiful imagery,
mhm.
and that I could show the ethos of the brand visually, but there was no strategy behind it, honestly. Like, I was at the beach, I was like, let's do like a beach shoot, let's go to like, a garden and do a shoot there, and just like show the vibes. That was really it. I'm like, we have to show the vibes, that's
You
it.
nailed it. And I love so much that all of this just keeps coming together for you in like the most beautiful way. It really does seem just fated in such a way that I mean, you can obviously tell when you look at what you've created that it was a labor of love. But I love so much that you stated that you're basically self-proclaimed that you're in your creative
Hmm.
era and that you're in it for yourself.
Yeah.
So what does it mean to have kind of just really done the thing with being in your creative era because I think you've achieved what you set out to do.
It's still a journey, but yes, I love the fact that I've been pouring into myself and just doing what I just feel called to do. Like, I go to my watercolor class on Mondays. I like, doing calligraphy and just really just doing all the things that
Mhm.
I love, and hopefully I can kind of like intertwine all of these creative, you know, directions into my planners, into my business.
Please tell us about your prints. I cannot ignore your prints. They're so captivating. They really do, I think, outfit a workspace or maybe, your end of the kitchen table. You might want to hang it near where you set up for work every day. But tell us about your prints. I love them. I think they are so
Thank you.
fun. And I think people really overlook having a little bit of artistic inspiration in your workspace.
Yeah, so that was something I decided to do like end of last year. And it was really fun to create. Like, that was the beginning of like my more like artsy, like hands-on journey with, my creativity era. So, very beginning stages, but it was really fun. But I plan on doing more prints. I plan on doing, like I said, more creative covers for my planners that I paint, whether it's watercolor or gouache or whatever it may be. Menu templates, wedding stationery, like everything. So, I'm gonna be offering so much more. I just, yeah, I'm just kind of like preparing now, getting everything together, and there will be more prints, and yeah, so much more.
Oh my gosh, you literally got me. I'm going to shed tears right here. You, in essence, are truly creating a stationary house in apartment 128. It's not just. In addition to your planners and your prints, you are going to be offering the paper goods that we need to live our life in a
Yeah.
connected and beautiful way that allow us to inject a little bit of joy or beauty into someone else's day when they receive it or when you use it. Does that, I guess, kind of set the tone for what products you're bringing on next? Just their use and how the apartment 128 woman is going to kind of take and facilitate these things into her daily life.
Yeah, so I really wanted it to be like a lifestyle brand. So
Mhm.
now I have quarterly productivity planners, but I plan to have, reading journals and, planners for foodies. Like my brother's a chef, so he's been helping me creating a planner for foodies or a travel journal or just everything, gratitude journal. So this is just like the tip of the iceberg.
Oh my gosh. It's so exciting. It's so beautiful. Sitting on this side, I always like have moments where I wonder if the entrepreneur I'm speaking to just knows how cool they are, you know? Like
Oh,
it takes so much effort, and the effort starts in just overcoming this and like
mm-hmm.
believing in this before you
Yeah.
make a single step. And I think from that standpoint alone, it seems like the 180 that you've kind of injected in your life has rewarded you so beautifully. And I think you can be a really strong testament for people that know that what they're doing, they're good at it, but maybe they don't like it, or it's not allowing their heart to really feel fulfilled, or, you know, float their boat the way that it used to, and they are looking for something else. And I'm always so enamored with the brave ones like you that kind of decide that they're ready for something else, and then they do it. And then they show everyone, look, you can do it. I did it.
Yeah, just putting one foot in front of the other is my motto, and just doing it. I feel like once you sit and really think about what you're trying to do or what you want to do, that's when all the negative talk comes up. Oh, I can't do this, or oh, I don't have the resources. You kind of just have to make do with what you have and go from there. Yeah.
If you could give one bit of advice to someone that is at the cusp of really like making that decision, what would be the one thing that you would say to them to just be like, get over there?
I would just say, once again, just do it. I used to be a perfectionist, and if I wanted to do something, I had to do it at the highest level immediately. And that prevented me from doing a lot of things I wanted to do in the past. And I think for this, journey, I have just said, you know what, I'm going to make do with the resources that I have, and the rest will come, and even if you don't know how to go about it, just one step at a time, and the rest literally will come.
It's so true. Oh, I'd love to talk about your affiliate program. So, for everyone out there, once you go click on the link in the show notes and you check out the planners and the beautiful artwork, I have a sneaky suspicion you're going to order these things, and then you're going to make beautiful content with it. And in the process of that, someone's going to ask you where you got it. And Desiree is a beautiful little program here that can help everyone out. So please explain what your affiliate program looks like and how it works.
So I have an affiliate program where you can sign up, and if you love the planner and you want to post about it and someone buys it using your code, you can get a percentage of that sale, and also your customers will also get a percentage off. So it's a win-win for everyone involved.
100%. And there's no way you will not be posting your planner every opportunity you get to, because there's you're drawn, you're pulled to it. It's like you can't. You're like, "Ah, put the latte here, put the like,
Yes.
turn around.
The croissant here. Yes.
Where's the sun? Where's the sign? Where's the coffee shop I'm in? Like, you're gonna be so pulled, and then you're just gonna click tag apartment 128. And if you also get to throw a little link in there, you earn a little bit of money for your next quarterly planner coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Your friend gets to also enjoy a planner, and you are supporting a business owner that has given it her all, and in giving it her all has given us the most beautiful quarterly planner we could ever possibly ask to be able to use on a daily basis. It's a win-win, like you said.
Win-win. Love that.
Desiree, my final question to all of my guests is this: how do you make your life rich?
How do I make my life rich? I think pouring into the things that I love to do, but also I love listening to beautiful music throughout my day that really helps me like romanticize everything, just like Italian composers and just vintage music. I love going to coffee shops. I love going on nature walks. I love just really being in tune with myself and being in tune with what's around me and just creating a beautiful ambiance. I think that's,
Oh, love that. That sounds like a beautiful fairy tale of a life that is your actual life. And that's so beautiful, and definitely something to strive towards. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing all things you and Apartment 128. It has been an absolute pleasure. And everyone, go to the show notes. Get your planner. Don't
yes,
delay.
yes. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Thank you.